Leadership is a heavy burden. High expectations are placed upon one to live above reproach in order to have lasting impact. It is a tall order to be a leader who sheds light as opposed to casting shadows in every sphere of influence. While competency is important, ethical character and virtue are a must when selecting a leader for an upcoming Japanese DJ unit. Hello and welcome to another Streaming Parson Dig Delight Direct Drive DJ video. Today we are talking about Photon Maiden's ethical leader, Niijima Ibuki. Ibuki's role as a leader is often highlighted in Groovy Mix's narrative because of how she exhibits ethical leadership, not by relying on her position, but by her virtue of character. Virtues have three important qualities. First, they require discipline to incorporate into one's personality. While this means virtue is not easily developed, it is also not easily discarded. Second, virtue shapes a leader's behavior. This allows one to become more sensitive to ethical issues and encourages them to act morally. Thirdly, virtue enables a leader to be steadfast in their principles and not sway in their beliefs by peer pressure. There is a plethora of virtues that exist, but for Ibuki we are going to talk about 5 of them. They are temperance, humility, reverence, justice, and optimism. Analyzing these 5 virtues in Ibuki will paint a picture of why she is fit to be Photon Maiden's leader. Ibuki's journey begins with a painful shadow. In the member card, Ibuki's Scars, she's reunited with some former track and field teammates and they catch up from their middle school days. They express remorse, tipping Photon Maiden off that there was tumultuous history between them. Ibuki reveals that her athletic passion created a wedge between her and her former teammates. She constantly gave others advice to the point of annoyance because they interpreted her advice as condescension, demoralizing them. Ibuki overheard their gossip, but instead of getting angry, she leaves the team believing they will improve without her nagging. She ended up being alone for the latter part of her middle school and early high school life. Passing the auditions and joining Photon Maiden was a second chance of being part of a team, and with the producer choosing her as team leader was the opportunity to put her virtues to the test. The virtue that Ibuki is most known for is her temperance. Temperance is the ability to control emotions and pleasures, the middle ground between self-denial and self-indulgence, the ability to enjoy life's pleasures without being controlled by them. This is something that the rest of Photon Maiden frequently struggles with, which could very well be the reason Himegami Shano initially selected Ibuki to be the unit leader. The easy example to poke fun at is Towa's gluttony, as sulking Maiden and caring Angel was caused by it. Ibuki regularly reprimands her and creates extra exercises for her every time she hears about Towa's eating escapades. Towa is not the only indulgent one, as Noah fawning over cute things is a vice that makes her unfit for leadership. Noah's obsession makes her uncontrollable, making decisions on a whim because something cute tickles her fancy. In Crossbeat, Kurumi convinces Noah to abuse her student council power to invite Lyrical Lily, Mermaid, and Rondo to Yoba's Culture Festival just to have a reunion with the other D4DJ units. Noah is quick to fulfill this request after a few bribes. Then there are the comical moments where she unhealthily dotes over Mooney, Shinobu, all of Lyrical Lily, and even elementary school students. Yikes. Saki is also intemperate as she struggles to practice moderation. Don't worry, trust me begins with a small discourse between Ibuki and Saki about why DJ units break up. Ibuki makes one small comment about being mindful of appreciating one's friends and co-workers, but Saki takes it to an extreme. She goes full throttle on serving others and considering their feelings that she begins lagging in her self-care. When her musical skills begin to suffer, Ibuki intervenes to correct her behavior, teaching her to find moderation in her actions. Due to her fitness lifestyle, Ibuki is a qualified expert in temperance through years of disciplining both her body and mind. For instance, she has a guilty pleasure of eating greasy foods like deep-fried chicken and pizza, but is careful not to become sick. She is also a cinephile, especially of the romance genre, but doesn't allow her hobbies to influence her work. Ibuki's temperance allows her to give Saki advice on how to moderate her actions, as she always has hers under control.
いぶきどうしたの3人揃ってお茶しに行ったんでしょ。いぶき担当直入に聞くね。えなんだか顔が怖いんだけれど。
余裕を見せていられるのも今のうちだけだからね。
そうそう、いぶき何か私たちに隠し事してるでしょう。隠し事？
さっさと吐いて楽になった方が身のためだよ。
別に何も隠してないわよ。というか刑事ドラマかなんかの見過ぎじゃない？
おっと、まだとぼけるつもりかな。
いぶきさん、騒がせてごめんなさい。別に大丈夫だけれど、どうしたの？特にこの2人。
それはちょっといろいろ勢いがついてしまったというか。
さきちゃん、そんな優しい対応じゃダメ
と言われても。
あくまで白を切るなら言ってあげようじゃないの。いぶきはプロデューサーについて何か隠してるでしょ。隠してないわよ。
それにしては最近のいぶきはおかしすぎるでしょ。
別におかしくなんてないわよ。
いぶきさん、
さっきまでそんな顔をしたってダメよ。別に私隠し事なんてしてないもの。私の様子がおかしいとか隠し事とか、そんなの全部勘違いよ。
勘違い？
そうよ。そんな勘違いで余計な心配をしているなんて時間がもったいないんじゃない？
余計？
そんな変な心配なんてせずに3人とも早く帰って体を休めた方がいいと思うわよ。
変な心配？私ちょっと怒った。さきちゃん？姫神プロデューサーが辞めたのはとてもショックで、私たちの中に大きな穴が開いたようになって。でもその穴って、いぶきさんだけじゃなくて、私たち全員で補うべきことだと思う。なのにいぶきさん一人で頑張ろうとして。私たちは4人でフォトンメイデンなの。いぶきさん一人に頼ってたら意味ないと思う。ああ、さきちゃんまでおこだよ。
いぶき、打ち明けなさい。でも私、みんなに苦労させたくないし。気持ちは嬉しいけれど、でも、私たちの気持ちになってよ。いぶきだけに苦労させて、嬉しいはずないでしょ。
さきちゃんの言う通り、いぶき一人に頼って依存してたら、4人でフォトンメイデンなんて言えなくない？
私に依存？それは。だったら、プロデューサーが心配した問題の解決にならない。
So, Ibuki is not perfect at temperance. Who is? But she is not an ethical leader solely because of her temperance. In Road to D4 Fest 2, Photon Maiden, Ibuki's sense of duty becomes a stumbling block to her role as a leader. When Shano left as Photon Maiden's producer, she entrusted Ibuki to care for the others and lead them as they grew into their own, independent of her influence. Being the only person with this knowledge, Ibuki assumed full responsibility for Photon Maiden and goes full throttle to fill the void left by Shano's departure. Saki, Toa, and Noah become suspicious of Ibuki's behavior as her temperance begins to slip. They confront her on how her overcommitment to honor Shano's wishes excluded them. Ibuki's second ethical leadership is drawn out in her ability to access her limitations. She shows humility in accepting that the others are correct and remembers that Photon Maiden is about the four of them as a team. Humility pushes Ibuki to build supportive relationships with others, fostering collaboration and trust, empowering them to face future challenges. Side origin, Photon Maiden, begins with whispers of who will accept the challenge of the arrogant American's Abyssmare. All of Yoba's eyes are set on Piki Piki offending the professional unit. Opportunity presents itself as Yoba is having their student council election and Ibuki is nominated along with Piki Piki's Yamate Kyoko. Photon Maiden were cheated at the anime audition, but with Yoba including DJ performances and things like student politics, this is their chance to finally square off against Piki. At first glance, Photon stands no chance as their opponents are the queens of the castle, but if First Mix has taught them anything, it is that underdogs have the ability to surprise. Ironically, side origin Photon is very anticlimactic, as even without the title giving it away, observing Piki Piki's attitude leading up to the election tells the audience that Piki was going to lose. They are clouded by pride, making them complacent, as Photon Maiden work tirelessly in their campaigning and their composition. Piki's loss was certain when Kyoko doesn't give a real campaign speech and instead assumes her position was enough leverage for her victory. Ibuki's humility through side origin contrasts Kyoko's pride. In Kyoko's defense, she is not accustomed to losing as she has never lost a school-related contest. However, this led her to be corrupted by power, believing herself to be untouchable. Ibuki, by contrast, possesses an important aspect of humility: transcendence. Transcendence is the belief that there are greater powers than the self. This prevents them from inflating their self-importance while growing in their appreciation for others and their contributions. She recognizes that winning the student election isn't about proving she's better than Kyoko, but about representing the people. In her student council candidate speech, she shows her appreciation of the school and its student body for the opportunities given to her. To honor Yoba Academy, she treats Abyssmare's challenge as a challenge to their culture and vows to represent the school in D4 America. She follows up with the bold proclamation that she would make Yoba Academy a school of world renown. Ibuki's humble approach earns her the victory in the election, beginning a new chapter for Photon Maiden as they all embrace leadership roles as Yoba's champions.
3年の新島伊吹です。私の掲げる公約を話す前に、みんなに少し聞いてもらいたいことがあるの。私はこの洋場学園に入って本当に良かったと思ってる。あ、選挙のために言ってるんじゃないよ。新しい友達もできたし、まだ名前を知らない人ともライブを通じてつながっている気がするから。そんな風に思わせてくれたみんなに対して、私は一体何ができるんだろうって考えたの。私たちを応援してくれるみんなに精一杯の恩返しがしたい。私たちフォトンメイデンのことを誇りに思ってもらいたい。だから私たちがピキピキよりすごいことを証明して、この学園の代表としてアビスメアに挑戦します。そして私たちの洋場学園が世界で一番の学校だと証明してみせる。それが私の公約です。
Claiming you're going to make your school the best in the world is a very tall order. However, if Ibuki is anything, it would be dutiful. Searching for Moonlight, Ayakashi, and the cat deity bestowing fortune are stories initiated by her because she's a conscripted shrine maiden. Both of these stories begin with Ibuki not being able to hang out with her friends because she has to do shrine maiden duties at her father's request. In both cases, her friends end up tagging along out of genuine interest for what she does. Ibuki insists that her shrine maiden duties are not all that interesting, but they follow her anyway out of respect. This respect Ibuki commands is derived from the fact that she is reverent to tradition. Reverence is the capacity to feel a sense of awe and respect to a higher power or authority. The fact that Ibuki is reverent to Japanese religious traditions is enough to have others participate with her when she is fulfilling her father's request, despite having no stakes in the matter. These stories behave as if Ibuki's obedience alone is inspiring enough to have others follow her wherever she goes, even if it ends up greatly inconveniencing them. To kick it up a notch, for some reason, both Shrine Maiden stories involve the possibility of encountering the supernatural. Between Dahlia's phasmophobia in searching for Moonlight Ayakashi, and Photon Maiden freaking out that Saki's synesthesia may include necromancy in the cat deity bestowing fortune, they stay committed to Ibuki. If she isn't gonna let a few ghosts stop her from performing her Shinto rites, then the others can be brave knowing they are guided by her determination. Supernatural shenanigans aside, they ultimately respect her steadfastness with fulfilling any responsibility given to her. Whether it is small religious task, leadership of Photon Maiden, or Yoba's student council representative, she treats every role with utmost respect and due diligence. Ibuki's diligent nature makes her overly reliable, leading her to accept a favor that involves facing her past. Dear You, aiming for the goal, begins with Ibuki meeting an old acquaintance, Senna, the leader of the school's track and field team. Due to an injury, Senna cannot compete in the upcoming championship the way she wants to, lest she permanently damages her foot. She asks the maiden for a favor to join the team for this one event to lighten her load, to which the latter cannot turn down. Humility and reverence overlap as Ibuki knows that she is not a one-woman army and cannot help the track and field team alone. She learns from her past mistakes that she cannot bark orders expecting results. If she's going to truly help Senna and by extension the track team, she's going to need help. Enlisting Piki Piki's Yuka, they work together to raise the morale of a disheartened track and field team. Ibuki first struggles to fit in with the team. She cannot stop thinking about her past influences and how it made her doubtful of leading a squad of athletes. In the corresponding member card, Friends Who Raise Each Other Up, Yuka notices Ibuki's antisocial behavior and speaks to her about it. Ibuki reflects on her middle school days and how her ego made her a poor leader. She believed enthusiasm alone would be enough to inspire others to follow her lead, but left the team because of her error. Yuka reminds Ibuki that is in the past and not to be hard on herself. After all, the point of joining Photon Maiden was to build up her temperance, humility, and reverence, changing her perspective on life. Her experience has taught her to think bigger and look beyond the immediate circumstances and see the bigger picture of life. Returning to the main story, on the day of the big track meet, Senna competes in the 100-meter run. She performs well, winning first place, but her ankle swells up making her unable to run the final relay event. Despite her doctor's warnings, she is determined to run no matter the cost, but Ibuki is there to knock some sense into her.
Senna! どうしたの？足が痛むの？ちょっと見せて。うわ、少し腫れてる。
すごい汗。歩けなさそうだね。
無理よ。こんな状態でリレーに出るつもり？
そうだね。この足じゃこれ以上走るのは無理だよ。他の子に代わってもらった方がいいと思う。
何を言ってるの？走れなくなるかもしれないんだよ。しっかりしなさい、セナ。足なんてどうなってもいい？走れなくなってもいい？バカなこと言わないで。
イブキ、叩くのは。
自分にはその程度の価値しかないと思ってるの？後輩たちが厳しい練習についてきたのは何のため？みんなあなたに追いつきたくて頑張ってきたのに、走れなくなってもいいなんて。そんなの絶対許されないことよ。セナ、あなたにはこんなに慕ってくれる仲間がいる。最後までみんなと喜び合う気持ちを捨てたことはなかったはずよ。なのにあなたが走れなくなってみんなが喜ぶと思う？ あなたにとって走ることは自分のためだったの？分かってくれてよかったよ。さっきは叩いてごめん。
いい仲間を持ったね、キャプテン。
Ethical leaders are concerned with not just the whole of an organization or team, but with the long-term consequences of their actions and those in their care. Ibuki agreed to join the track team to help them win this championship, but her morality would not allow her to win at the cost of Senna's long-term health. Senna was too caught up in the moment, but Ibuki is looking at life with the future in mind. While it appears that Ibuki is just uttering platitudes at Senna, she is looking out for her well-being and puts into perspective the feelings of everyone under her influence. Ethical leaders care more about people than they do about winning and losing, and this is the wisdom Ibuki imparts to Senna for the sake of the entire team's morale, not just for this championship, but for future track meets. Senna sees reason and concedes to forfeit the relay race, to which Yuka replaces her to end the event with a bang. Seeing the potential the track team has with a little guidance from Ibuki and Yuka, it really is a shame to see how underfunded they are. Believe in Our Future begins with Photon Maiden looking over school club budgets. To no one's surprise, Ibuki wants to increase the funding towards the underfunded sports clubs, but Noah points out that would not be in the interest of the overall student body. After all, Yoba is known as an art school, so it makes sense to allocate more funds to the art-based departments. However, this doesn't sit right with Ibuki because it is not just. Justice is the obligation to fulfill societal good while working to be fair, giving equal treatment to others. She believes the sports clubs deserve more funding, not because of any bias towards fellow athletes, but because they deserve the same rights as the elite arts sector of the student body. This leads to some headbutting as Noah does not want to cause strife by taking funding away from the arts clubs for equity's sake. Ibuki sticks to her guns and advocates for increasing the sports club's funding. When Noah asks her to stand down, Ibuki refuses on a matter of principle, believing Yoba will ultimately benefit if the rest of the student body is treated more fairly. Justice is an important virtue for everyone, but there is an added dimension for leaders. Leaders have a moral obligation to consider the needs and interests of the entire group, taking into consideration the larger community. Ibuki knows that funding is a limited resource, but she worries the sports clubs will resent the arts clubs if the unfair treatment continues. Visiting the school's gymnasium, she bumps into Abysmare's Veronica, who shares her sentiment when giving an eyewitness account of the sports club's activities. Seeing the shabby state this section of the student body is subject to, Ibuki's convictions grow stronger, and she knows that she must convince Noah to help her alleviate the athlete's plight. Believe in Our Future recalls the earliest days of Photon Maiden when the group was deciding who was going to be team leader. Noah believed that she should be the leader because she is the most competent member. She's intelligent, assertive, and confident. When sensing Ibuki's hesitancy to accept the role, she nominates herself for the leader position. What Noah was too quick to judge on was that Ibuki wanted to be sure that her ideals for the unit were appropriate. The following day, Ibuki finds Noah to sort out their thoughts and goals for the upcoming unit. When asked, Noah doesn't give a straight answer, muttering to herself her inner thoughts of expressing her vision of a cute world. Her one-track mind does not allow for open input from others, as her goal is ultimately a selfish one. At least Noah had a clear goal in mind, whereas Ibuki is muddled in her objectives for their unit because she doesn't know. She settles on winging it and allowing Photon Maiden to naturally develop its own identity. Noah retorts by asking why Ibuki would need to be leader, as that can be achieved with anyone filling that role. This is where Ibuki's final virtue shines.
私、昔陸上部でキャプテンをやっていた時も、最高の仲間と一緒に高みを目指せると思ってたんだ。でも、現実はみんなと同じ思いを共有してなくて、 私一人だけが走っていたことに気づいたの。私はリーダーに向いてないのかもしれない。結局自己満足のためにやってたのかなって。
なるほど。それで引き受けるのに躊躇があったというわけね。
ええ、正直まだ自分でも本当にリーダーを務められる自信がないの。
でもリーダーを譲るつもりはないんでしょ？それはどうして？
最高の仲間に出会えたかもしれないから。どんなことでも言い合える最高の仲間がいるなら、もう一度自分を信じてみようって。
最高の仲間って私たちのことだよね。
うん。だけどそのためには私のことを信じてもらうしかない。だから話をしに来たの。
一つ質問していい？新島さんの理想って具体的にどういうもの？
私の理想、自分だけじゃなくみんなで喜びを共有したいかな。
あんまり具体的じゃないよね。私抽象的な話って苦手なの。
ごめん、ちょっと言葉にするのが難しくて。
Ibuki states that she believes in Photon Maiden because they are all wonderful friends. This is a wild statement for her to make because as far as the D4DJ timeline is concerned, the Photon Maidens are mostly strangers to each other at this point. She has a lot of faith in people that she hardly knows yet, but this moment shows her strong sense of optimism. Optimism is the expectation of positive outcomes in the future, even when they are currently experiencing disappointment and difficulties. Ibuki had gone over a year of not doing track and field, something she passionately loved, but this was her chance to start anew. She is confident that these new people could work well together and as a team bring forth a brighter future for her and her new friends. Noah in admiration concedes her leadership nomination, seeing that Ibuki has what it takes to be Photon Maiden's leader. Returning to the present, the student council representatives discuss how the budget should be distributed. Noah goes for her original stance of allocating the larger portion to the arts and culture clubs. Ibuki thinks outside the box to find a solution for the sports clubs by coming up with the idea to request that the student council be given a larger budget. Her reasoning is that Photon Maiden's presence in D4 Fest America made Yoba Academy more popular, and more of the student body are entering the DJ scene, adding to its renown. She believes that increasing funds to other clubs would make outsiders interested in other aspects of student life, and by extension create more opportunities not just for the current student body, but for future prospects as well. Noah cannot help but admire Ibuki's optimism and obliges to her request to submit a proposal to increase funding. The story ends with the school honoring Ibuki's request, allowing her to alleviate the sports club's money issues. Ibuki states to Noah how much she needs her to support her ideals, while Noah reaffirms her loyalty and trust in Ibuki's leadership. Ibuki's role in Photon Maiden is a heavy burden, but her dignified behavior makes her a woman of impact. A shrine maiden of light, unafraid of the shadow, shines positivity to those around her. Others may be more competent than her, but her ethical character and virtues are why her friends and teammates look up to her. Her moral character makes her trustworthy, building confidence and strength in her unit. Photon Maiden will always be on a path to growth with their temperate, humble, reverent, just, and optimistic leader at the helm. There is no challenge they cannot overcome, knowing that Niijima Ibuki keeps them on the right path.
うわ、冷た。もうどうやったら、子供なんだから。でも、はしゃいでるのは私もそうかもしれないわね。いつもより少し高いヒールを脱いで、薄く張った水に足をつけてみた。仮にも人前に出る立場なんだから、本当は紫外線とかもしもの怪我とか えなきゃいけないのよね。でもなんだか頭がまとまらない。暑いからかしら。裸足だからかもしれない。今だけ私を脱ぎ捨てて、そんな気分。やったわね、待ちなさいとは。せっかく涼しくなったところだけど、むしろ燃えてきちゃったかも。